welcome to the third edition of what is quickly becoming my all-time favorite car show of the year. A car show celebrating the weird, obscure and strange automotive wallflowers. For the four-wheeled and sometimes three-wheeled tragedies that never caught on or which are best left forgotten. Except for this one day. The first time I was there with my Hyundai XG350. Over here, a rather obscure Korean entry-level luxury sedan. Last year I turned up with my Chrysler Crossfire, a German convertible wearing American cowboy boots. And this year I turned up with, well, guess what? Another XG. During fall last year I sold the Crossfire and got back with my ex, so to speak. Now sporting a silver grey paint and black leather interior. Now before we continue, in the previous two videos I never mentioned the name of the event, and I think it's time to set things right. This celebration of quaint cars is named Elk Merkwaardig, a great play on words as the direct translation means every brand worthy. It doesn't matter what you drive, everyone is welcome to this automotive safe space. But put some of these words together and it means each remarkable. Another great way to describe the event. Think of it as like the weird sister of the Festival of the Unexceptional that is being held in the UK every year. I put a link of the show in the description, just check out the website, especially if you live in Western Europe, because I highly recommend to give this show a try. Now let's get rolling and see what's what. As usual, some familiar faces are always present, like the Honda Beat Club, the Renault Wind Club, and let's not forget our smart friends out there with their clever cars. But first stop, Koreatown. In the video I made last year, I drooled over the holy grail of Hyundais, the Centennial, or Equus. Well, allow me to show you the Battle of Hyundais, as me and the owner of the Centennial managed to park alongside each other and compare our cars. The Centennial is in every respect more grandeur than my Grandeur, which is already extra grandeur according to the badging. I only have to make do with 6 cylinders and 3.5 liters of displacement. The Centennial runs on 8 cylinders with a comfy 4.5 liters of displacement. The only car that would really finish it all is the Kia version of my car, the I want to look like a Jaguar Kia Opirus. Still, how often do you see a lineup such as this outside South Korea? And we all have to thank these Korean cars because of this car right here. Whereas my car and the Centennial were Hyundai's first steps at creating a luxury car, this was their first attempt at creating a car. This is the Hyundai Pony, Hyundai's first real attempt at making a mass-produced car almost entirely in-house. The car was made between 1975 and 1990, and this one is from 1979. Once you mention the Pony, people like my father would instantly say, "A pony? You really didn't want to be seen dead in one of those things." The Pony certainly was cheap for its time, but for all the wrong reasons, making Hyundai's European breakthrough even more difficult. What also doesn't help is the DLX badge, which I assume stands for Deluxe. Well, there is nothing deluxe about it, as the DLX was the base trim version, but you would get onto your knees and thank the Korean overlords for including rubber floor mat and an AM radio. From South Korea we fly to Sweden to take a look at the endless soap opera called Saab. Is it dead or alive these days? It's difficult, but that's one more reason to appreciate among one of the last Saabs that were made, the 9.5. I'm not much of a Saab guy, but I consider the 9.5 as such a good-looking car, even after more than 10 years. I love the wraparound taillight bar, predicting the current trend of the ubiquitous taillight bars. And I love the airy greenhouse with its floating roof and sharp sweeping C-pillar. Like I said, it's almost like a timeless design. Unfortunately, the last days of Saab weren't so great, however. If you really wanted to insult the car, then you could say that it was nothing more than a reworked General Motors product. It stands on the ubiquitous GM Epsilon platform that also gave birth to various Opels, Buicks, Chevrolets and Cadillacs. And that brings me to this second Saab at the show. Prepare your butts, because this is arguably the rarest Saabs of all. This is the 94X, a luxury SUV crossover, released before the craze really caught on in Europe. According to some sources, only 814 of these were produced before the assembly line was shut down as a result of the bankruptcy. The car was designed a few years before its release, but the final production version was developed in a rapid 2 months. Interesting detail are the bluish headlights, nicknamed the ice block headlights. And I'm not so sure about the rims, however. I doubt they are from the factory, but honestly, I don't know. Let's pick up the pace here. If you're not bored by my rambling already, remember when you were so bored that you just simply opened up Paint, drew some random lines and filled them in with random colors? Yeah, that's exactly what Renault designers did when they designed the Avantime, or Avantime, or whatever. Imagine being so insecure as a car brand that you design a car that tries to be every car body style out there at the same time. And now that I'm talking about an identity crisis, what about this hatchback right here? Come with me now. This seems like a box standard Toyota Corolla, right? But what's up with that logo? And when we come to the back, it's a Holden Nova. What's going on here? The only thing I can say is that down under, in Australia, as part of the so-called button car plan of the 1980s and 90s, various Toyota models were rebadged to become Holdens, including the Corolla rebadged as a Holden Nova. But if this is a Nova, how come the steering wheel is on the correct side of the car? Either this is a real obscure car, or really someone is just playing tricks here and doing some dirty rebadging. And so our next stop is the USA. This is a Pontiac G8. Ha! Kidding. No, we're still down under. This is actually a 2009 Holden Commodore Ute. Yes, the Ute. Australia's most well-known car body style, combining the power and luxury of a sedan with the practicality of a pickup. And these are quite the beasts, don't underestimate them. Under the hood, bonnet, you'll find a 6-liter V8. But wait until you see what's under the bonnet of the white car next to it. This is also a Commodore, but the Maloo version. A high-performance version with a 6.2-liter V8 making a whopping 442 horsepower. You're essentially looking at a Chevrolet Corvette turned into a pickup truck. British cars are also very much present at the show, sometimes even all the way from the UK. I talked to some people that are very knowledgeable about them and learned a few things along the way, including this red rocket right here. Honestly, at first glance I would just pass it and wouldn't know what it is. It seems like a homegrown attempt to build a car to me. But this is a Jensen SV8. Yes, that's the same Jensen from the 1960s with their marvelous Interceptor GT. And there's actually some truth in what I just said. This car was an attempt to bring back the glory days of Jensen to the 1990s. This car is powered by Ford's modular V8, commonly found in Mustangs. The story of the SV is very short, however, and you are looking at an absolute rarity. Only 20 cars, let me repeat that, only 20 cars are known to be finished, and this is one of them. The car is also notorious for its overall poor build quality, its kind of hodgepodge of different parts and materials of various car makers, and its huge panel gaps. The story goes that if you put your ear close to it, you can hear the White Cliffs of Dover. Here is a first-generation Cadillac CTS. Besides that, I still very much like the looks of this car, and the CTSs were officially sold over here, and they are getting quite rare now. You may think that, well, what's the big deal? And I did too, until I read the little sign behind the window. This is the official Top Gear Cadillac. Back when the car was released, British Top Gear did a review on the car saying that the Caddy would not be sold in the UK, but would be sold in Western Europe. Richard Hammond also asked the question whether this was another waterbed land yacht or truly a German sports sedan fighter. Well, this is it. This is the car. The license plate matches the footage. Now here is something that truly surprised me, as I simply did not know what it was. Such a thing would keep me up at night. So, do you know what it is? No? Allow me to tell you. This is a Toyota Will VS, and for most of you this won't ring any bell either. The Will, so W-I-L-L, is part of a lifestyle marketing approach of the early 2000s where a few Japanese companies stepped in, including Toyota, presenting their Will cars. Each of these cars are very funky. One is the Will VI, a car I also talked about in my first video about the show. The second is the Will Sifa or Sifa, and then you have this one, the Will VS. One detail I really want to mention is that this car is from 2001. And I thought that was a mistake, but that is actually true. Considering its exterior and interior design, the car was something of the late 2000s or even the early 2010s. But no, it's 2001, a year when many cars still had that 1990s soft and round soap bar look. And then this comes along with its sharp and beveled styling and angry headlights, introducing styling themes a full 5 years before the mainstream car makers introduced it. Astonishing. Last but not least, we enter a special part of our program and the car show, called Flop Gear. Here you can send your car to the stage where the organizers in front of an audience either praise or criticize your car and tell what it is. And of course, I had to show everyone my awesome car and YouTube stickers. Enjoy!
En wat er nu aankomt rijden is natuurlijk ook weer zo'n typische EMW-auto. Een auto die eigenlijk nauwelijks verkocht werd. En ja, als je hem zo ziet, dan snap je misschien ook wel waarom. Want ondanks dat het een hyperluxe auto is, gaat hij heel anoniem door het leven. De Hyundai XG, een poging van de Hyundai om in het topsegment toch ook voet aan de grond te krijgen. En hoe deden ze dat? Gewoon met een enorme sedan, met een hoop namaakhout erin, leren bekleding, een hoop luxe. Ja, en dan staat er eigenlijk een hele kloeke auto die natuurlijk een stuk goedkoper was dan de vergelijkbare auto's van de Duitse merken. En toch verkochten ze niet. Heb je enig idee hoe dat komt?
Zie jij een Mercedes-ster?
Sterretje in de vooruit misschien, maar...
Er staat helemaal niks voorop, dus ja, dan, als geen Mercedes-ster heeft van 4 chrome ringen, dan 95% haakt al af. En dan heb je die 5% die daar wel tenminste de waarde in ziet.
Maar in aanschaf waren ze dus ook niet heel veel goedkoper dan de concurrenten.
Ja, dat wel. Voor mij iets voor 75% van de prijs van de Mercedes had je dan dit. En soms had je er zelfs wel meer in dan een Mercedes.
En dat maakt waarschijnlijk ook dat jij er helemaal verliefd op bent en dat je denkt van dit is mijn Mercedes.
Dit is mijn Mercedes, ja, want dit is echt voor een habbekrats gekocht en je hebt zo automatische verlichting, automatische ruitenwissers, climate control voor een Hyundai uit midden 2000. Ja, fantastisch.
Nou, wij vinden dit ook helemaal geweldig. Veel meer EMW gaat het denk ik niet worden vandaag. Dankjewel voor deze XG350 van Hyundai.
And this concludes another great quirky car show. Once again, check out their website and hopefully I'll see you right there at the show next year.